My name is Ruth, and I am 62 years old. Mom, starting next month, we will transfer all your money to my account. That is what my son Brandon said to me 3 weeks ago. I just smiled at him, a small, tight smile that did not reach my eyes. He had no idea what I had been quietly preparing. That night, as always, he and his wife Jessica came to my house for another free dinner. But when they walked into my living room, both of them froze. Before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? If you have ever felt used by your own family, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I promise you, what I am about to share will show you that it is never too late to take back control of your life. Now let me tell you the whole story of how I reclaimed my dignity. I need to take you back 5 years to help you understand how I got here. My husband Gerald died suddenly from a heart attack. We had been married for 38 years. Both of us worked our entire lives. Gerald was a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing plant, and I taught third grade at Pinewood Elementary School. Every dollar we earned, we saved carefully. We wanted to give our children the best life possible. We had 2 children. Brandon is 35 years old now, and his younger sister Grace is 30. We raised them in a modest 2-story house in the suburbs. The house had a small garden in the back where I grew tomatoes and herbs every summer. Our living room had a brick fireplace that Gerald built himself one summer. The kitchen was spacious with white cabinets and a large window over the sink where I could watch birds while doing dishes. Brandon was always the golden child. He got good grades in school. He played soccer. He went to college on a partial scholarship. Gerald and I were so proud of him. We helped pay for the rest of his tuition. We thought we were investing in his future. When he graduated with a business degree, we celebrated with a big party in our backyard. 3 years ago, Brandon married Jessica. She was 32, worked as a receptionist at a dental office. The wedding was at a fancy hotel downtown. Gerald and I paid for half of it because Jessica's parents could not afford much. We wanted Brandon to have a beautiful wedding. We wanted him to be happy. After Gerald died, I felt so alone. Our daughter Grace had married a software engineer and moved to Colorado for his job. She called every week, but it was not the same as having her nearby. Brandon and Jessica lived only 20 minutes away. At first, they visited often. Brandon would hug me and ask how I was doing. Jessica would compliment my cooking. We would sit at the dining table and talk about their jobs, their plans, their lives. I looked forward to those visits. The house felt so empty without Gerald. Every corner reminded me of him. His reading glasses still sat on the side table. His jacket still hung in the closet. I could not bring myself to move his things. When Brandon and Jessica came over, the house felt alive again. I would cook Brandon's favorite meals: fried chicken with my special seasoning, mashed potatoes with butter and cream, green bean casserole, apple pie for dessert. Brandon would eat 2 helpings of everything. "Mom, this is delicious," he would say. "You are the best cook." Jessica would nod and smile. I felt needed. I felt like I still had purpose. But slowly, things started to change. I noticed that Brandon and Jessica only came over around dinner time. They would arrive at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. They would stay for maybe an hour, after then leave. They stopped asking about my day. They stopped asking about my health. The conversations became shorter, more superficial. When dinner was over, Jessica would check her phone constantly. Brandon would yawn and say, "We should get going. We have an early morning tomorrow." They never invited me to their apartment. They never suggested we go out for coffee or lunch. It was always just dinner at my house. I told myself they were busy. Young people have demanding lives. They have careers to build. They have their own problems. I should not expect too much from them. But deep down, a small voice whispered that something was wrong. I ignored that voice. I did not want to believe my son was using me. About 6 months after Gerald died, Brandon started asking questions about money. We were sitting in the living room after dinner. Jessica was in the kitchen pretending to help with dishes, but mostly just standing there. Brandon leaned forward in his chair. "Mom, do you have enough money? Are you managing okay financially?" I was surprised by the question. I told him I was fine. I had my pension from the school district. I had the life insurance payout from when Gerald died. We had savings. Gerald and I had been careful with money our whole lives. We did not live extravagantly. We did not take expensive vacations. Everything we had, we earned and saved. Brandon nodded slowly. "But Mom, are you sure you know how to handle it all?" "Investments can be complicated. You are not good with money. Maybe I should help you." His words stung a little. I had managed our household budget for nearly 40 years. I had balanced checkbooks. I had paid bills. I had saved for our children's education. But I tried not to take offense. Maybe he was just concerned. That is what I wanted to believe. A few weeks later, Jessica brought it up again. We were clearing the dinner table. She picked up plates and carried them to the kitchen. Then she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Mom, this house is so big. Are you sure you want to stay here alone? Have you thought about selling it?" The question caught me off guard. Why would I sell my house? This is my home. Gerald and I bought this house 30 years ago. We raised our children here. Every room holds memories. Jessica backtracked quickly. "Oh, I was just wondering. It must be a lot of work to maintain." "Just a thought." She smiled and changed the subject. But that planted a seed of worry in my mind. Why were they thinking about my house? Why were they so concerned about my money? Over the next few months, the suggestions became more frequent, more direct. Brandon would say things like, "Mom, you are getting older. What if something happens and you cannot manage your finances? What if you forget to pay a bill? What if someone scams you?" I would reassure him. "I am only 62. My mind is sharp. I pay my bills on time. I am careful." But he would not let it go. "Mom, we are family. It makes sense for me to handle your money. That way you do not have to worry about anything. I will take care of everything." Each time I said no politely but firmly. "I appreciate your concern, but I can manage my own affairs." Brandon's tone started to change. He became frustrated. "Why are you being so stubborn? Do you not trust your own son? I am trying to help you." Jessica would chime in. "We just want what is best for you, Mom. We love you." But I noticed something. They never came over unless it was dinner time. They never offered to take me anywhere. They never brought groceries or helped with house repairs. The only thing they seemed interested in was my money and my house. One evening I called Grace in Colorado. I needed to talk to someone. I told her what was happening. Grace was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Mom, be careful. Brandon has always been like this. Do you remember when he asked Dad for money to start that business?" I did remember. Brandon had come to Gerald 5 years ago with a business plan. He wanted to open a restaurant. He needed $50,000. Gerald gave it to him because Brandon promised it was a sure thing. The restaurant failed within a year. Brandon never paid back a single dollar. He said he was sorry, but the timing was bad, the location was wrong, his partner screwed him over. There was always an excuse. Grace continued, "Mom, I do not think Brandon cares about you. I think he cares about your money. Please protect yourself." Her words terrified me because deep down I knew she was right, but I did not want to believe it. He was my son. Surely he loved me. Surely he would not hurt me. Brandon and Jessica's visits became even more frequent. They came 3 or 4 times a week now, always around dinner. They never brought food. They never offered to cook. They just showed up expecting a meal. And I, like a fool, kept cooking for them. I kept setting the table. I kept serving them. But every visit ended the same way. Brandon would bring up money. "Mom, I found a great investment opportunity. You should give me $50,000. I can double it in 6 months." I refused. I need that money for my living expenses. "I cannot just give you $50,000. His face darkened. "You do not trust me, your own son, after everything I have done for you." What had he done for me, I wanted to ask, but I held my tongue. Jessica tried a different approach. "Mom, we are thinking of buying a new house, a bigger place. We could really use your help with the down payment. We will pay you back. We promise." I knew they would never pay me back. "No, I cannot help you this time. I am sorry." Brandon stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Fine. Do not say we did not try to include you in our lives. Maybe we will be too busy to visit from now on." It was a threat. If I did not give them money, they would abandon me. I felt sick to my stomach. After that conversation, their visits continued, but the atmosphere changed completely. They came. They ate in silence. They left immediately after. No conversation. No warmth. The dinners felt like hostage situations. I cooked out of habit and fear that if I stopped, I would never see my son again. One Tuesday evening, I went upstairs to get a sweater because the air conditioning was too cold. When I came back down, I heard drawers opening in Gerald's old office. I walked quietly down the hall and peeked through the door. Brandon was rifling through the file cabinet. Jessica stood beside him, keeping watch. "What are you doing?" I asked loudly. They both jumped. Brandon turned around, his face red. "Oh, Mom, I was just looking for some old photos. I thought they might be in here." "Photos are in the album on the bookshelf in the living room. You know that." "Right. Sorry." He closed the drawer and walked past me quickly. Jessica followed without making eye contact. After they left, I checked the file cabinet. Papers were out of order. Some folders had been opened. They had been looking for financial documents, bank statements, investment records, the deed to the house. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My son was treating me like prey. He was circling me, waiting for the right moment to strike. I felt betrayed. I felt heartbroken. But more than that, I felt angry. The next morning, I gathered all my important documents: bank statements, insurance policies, investment accounts, the deed to the house, Gerald's will, my will. I put everything in a locked safe in my bedroom closet. Then I called Grace. I told her what happened. She was furious. "Mom, you need to do something. He's not going to stop. He thinks you are weak. He thinks he can bully you into giving him everything." "I do not know what to do," I whispered. I was crying. I felt so helpless. Grace's voice became firm. "Mom, listen to me. You are not helpless. You are strong. You raised 2 children. You worked for 30 years. You managed a household. You took care of Dad when he was sick. You are capable. Do not let Brandon make you feel small." Her words gave me strength. You are right. I need to protect myself, but how I had no idea where to start. 3 weeks ago, on a Saturday afternoon, Brandon and Jessica showed up unannounced. They walked into my living room and sat down on the sofa with serious expressions. I knew immediately something was coming. Brandon did not waste time. "Mom, we need to talk." I sat down in the armchair across from them. "Okay, what is it Jessica and I have been discussing your situation? We think it is time for you to let us take over your finances completely." My heart started pounding. "What do you mean completely?" "We mean all of it. Your bank accounts, your investments, everything. Starting next month, we will transfer all your money to my account. I will give you an allowance every month for your expenses." I stared at him in disbelief. "You want to take all my money? We are not taking it, Mom. We are managing it. For your own good. You are 62 years old. What if you get sick? What if you have a stroke and forget to pay bills? What if you get dementia? I do not have dementia. My mind is perfectly clear." Jessica leaned forward. "Mom, we are just trying to protect you. We will handle everything. You will not have to worry about a thing. We will pay your bills. We will make sure you have everything you need." "And what if I say no?" Brandon's expression hardened. "Then you are being foolish and stubborn. We are your family. We are trying to help you. If you refuse our help, then do not come crying to us when you lose everything." I felt like I had been slapped. So this was it. This was the ultimatum. Give them control of my money or they would cut me off completely. "I will think about it," I said quietly. "There is nothing to think about," Brandon snapped. "This is happening. Next month, we will come by to get your bank information." He stood up. Jessica stood up beside him. They walked toward the door. Brandon turned back to look at me. "You will see, Mom. This is the right decision. You should be grateful we care enough to do this for you." Then they left. The door closed. I sat in the empty living room shaking. For a long time, I just sat there, numb, shocked, hurt, but then something shifted inside me. The numbness turned into anger. The hurt turned into resolve. How dare he? How dare he think he could just take everything from me? How dare he treat me like I was incompetent, like I was stupid, like I was nothing? I had worked my entire life. I had saved every penny. I had sacrificed so he could have a good education, a good start in life. And this was how he repaid me, by trying to steal from me. No, I would not let this happen. I would not be a victim. The next morning, I called Patricia Montgomery. She was the family lawyer who had helped Gerald and me write our wills 10 years ago. I explained everything that had happened, every detail, every conversation, every threat. Patricia listened carefully. When I finished, she said, "Ruth, this is financial elder abuse. Your son is trying to coerce you into giving him control of your assets. We need to act immediately. What can I do?" "We have several options. First, we need to protect your assets so he cannot touch them. Second, we need to make sure you have legal safeguards in place. And third, you need to decide what you want to do about your relationship with him. I want to protect myself. I want to make sure he cannot take anything from me. But I do not want him to know what I'm doing. Not yet. Smart. The element of surprise is important. Let me explain what we can do. Over the next 2 weeks, I met with Patricia 4 times. We worked in complete secrecy. I did not tell Brandon. I did not even tell Grace at first because I wanted to be absolutely sure before I said anything. Patricia helped me set up a living trust. I transferred almost all my money into it. The trust was protected. Brandon could not touch it. Even if he somehow got access to my bank accounts, there would be almost nothing there. The trust would provide me with income for the rest of my life. When I died, Grace would be the beneficiary. Brandon would get nothing. We also updated my will. We added a clause specifically stating that Brandon was receiving no inheritance due to his attempts to financially exploit me. Patricia said it was important to be explicit so he could not contest the will later. Then came the house. I made a decision that surprised even Patricia. I decided to sell it. Are you sure? Patricia asked. This is your home. It is just a house. Gerald is gone. My memories are in my heart, not in these walls. And I will not give Brandon the satisfaction of thinking he will inherit it someday. Patricia nodded slowly. Where will you go? I had already researched this. There is a senior living community called Meadowbrook about 30 minutes from here. It is beautiful. They have activities, healthcare services, security. I can have my own apartment. I can make friends. I can have a life that does not revolve around waiting for my son to use me. Patricia smiled. Ruth, I am proud of you. This takes real courage. I signed all the papers. Everything was legal. Everything was protected. Brandon would never get his hands on my money or my house. Now I just had to wait for the right moment to tell him. That moment came 2 weeks later. Brandon called me on a Thursday morning. Mom, Jessica, and I are coming over for dinner tonight. We need to finalize the arrangements for transferring your money. Bring out all your bank statements and account information. His tone was commanding, like he was talking to a child, like it was already decided. Okay, I said calmly. Come at 6 o'clock. After I hung up, I smiled. Really smiled. For the first time in months, I felt powerful. I felt in control. They thought they were coming to take everything from me. They had no idea what was waiting for them. I spent the afternoon cooking. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, biscuits. All of Brandon's favorite foods. This would be the last meal I ever cooked for him. I wanted it to be memorable. While the chicken was frying, I packed boxes. Not everything. Just some things. Enough to make a statement. I stacked the boxes neatly in the living room where Brandon and Jessica would see them immediately when they walked in. At exactly 6 o'clock, I heard their car pull into the driveway. I heard their footsteps on the front porch. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. Brandon and Jessica walked in with confident smiles, like they owned the place already. But when they stepped into the living room, they stopped dead in their tracks. Cardboard boxes were stacked on the coffee table and on the floor. Some of my pictures were already packed. The bookshelf was half empty. Brandon stared at the boxes. Mom, what is this? I am moving. Jessica's mouth fell open. Moving where? To a senior living community, a place called Meadowbrook. It is lovely. They have gardens and activities. I will have my own apartment. Healthcare services are included. I will be very comfortable there. Brandon's face turned red. But this house? What about this house? I am selling it. In fact, I already have a buyer, a young couple with 2 children. They are very excited. The closing is in 3 weeks. You cannot do that, Brandon's voice rose to almost a shout. Actually, I can. It is my house. My name is on the deed. I can sell it whenever I want. Jessica looked panicked. But we thought you would leave this house to us. We thought this would be ours someday. I looked at her directly. Why on earth would you think that? Because we are family, Brandon shouted. This house should go to me. I am your son. You are my son. But that does not mean you are entitled to my property. Brandon took a step toward me. His fists were clenched. After everything we have done for you. After all the time we spent visiting you. Taking care of you. I almost laughed. Taking care of me. Brandon, you have not taken care of me. You have used me. You came here for free meals. You tried to manipulate me into giving you my money. You went through my private papers. You threatened to abandon me if I did not do what you wanted. That is not true. We love you. If you loved me, you would not have tried to steal from me." Jessica started crying. "We were not trying to steal. We were trying to help." "No, you were trying to help yourselves. To my money, to my house, to everything I worked my whole life for." Brandon's voice turned cold. "If you do this, we will never speak to you again." I met his eyes. "Then I guess we will not speak again." The room was silent. Jessica's tears dried up. Brandon stared at me like he did not recognize me. "There is more you should know," I continued. "All of my money has been moved into a protected trust. You cannot access it. You cannot touch it. When I die, everything goes to Grace. You will inherit nothing." Brandon's face went pale. "You planned this." "Yes. While you were planning to take everything from me, I was protecting myself. I met with my lawyer. I set up legal protections. I made sure you could never hurt me financially." Jessica found her voice. "But what about us? We have debts. We need help. Then you should get jobs that pay better. You should budget. You should do what every other adult does. You should not rely on stealing from your mother." Brandon tried one last time. His voice broke. "Mom, please. We are sorry. We made mistakes. We were wrong. Please do not do this. We will change. I promise." But I could see in his eyes that he did not mean it. He was only sorry because his plan failed. He was sorry he would not get my money. He was not sorry for how he treated me. "It is done, Brandon. Everything is signed. Everything is legal. Now, if you would like to stay for dinner, you are welcome. But this is the last free meal you will get from me." Brandon and Jessica looked at each other. Then, without another word, they turned and walked out. Brandon slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. I stood in the quiet living room. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I felt free, truly free. For the first time in years, I was not afraid. I was not being used. I was not a victim. I was Ruth. I was 62 years old, and I had just taken back my life. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. I packed up the house. Grace flew in from Colorado to help me. We went through 40 years of belongings. Some things I donated. Some things I sold. Some precious items I kept. Grace and I talked for hours while we packed. She told me she was proud of me. "Mom, I cannot believe you did that. That took so much courage. I had no choice. I could not let him destroy me." We talked about Brandon. Grace admitted that even when they were children, he was selfish. He always wanted the best toys. He always wanted the most attention. He never shared. Dad and I always made excuses for him. We said he would grow out of it, but he never did. "I know," Grace said quietly. "I tried to tell you and Dad, but you did not want to hear it." She was right. Gerald and I had been blind. We had wanted to believe the best about our son. We had ignored the warning signs. And now I was paying the price. "But you are fixing it," Grace said. "You are standing up for yourself. A lot of people in your situation would not have the strength to do that." Her words meant everything to me. The house sold quickly. The young couple who bought it had a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. They loved the backyard. They loved the kitchen. They talked excitedly about their plans for the house. I felt good knowing the house would be filled with love again. During those weeks, Brandon called me 11 times. I did not answer. He left voicemails. Some were angry. Some were pleading. Some tried to guilt-trip me, but I deleted every single one without listening all the way through. Jessica came to the house one afternoon while Grace was out running errands. She knocked on the door. She cried on my doorstep. "Mom, please. We made a mistake. We need your help. We have so much debt. Credit cards. Car loans. We are drowning." I stood behind the closed door and listened, but I did not open it. I had made my decision. I would not be manipulated by tears. Eventually, Jessica gave up and left. On moving day, Grace helped me load my belongings into the truck. We drove together to Meadowbrook. The community was everything I had hoped for. The building was modern and clean. There were gardens with walking paths, a dining hall where residents could eat together, activity rooms for crafts and games, a small library. My apartment was on the second floor. It had one bedroom, a small living area, and a kitchenette. Large windows as let in lots of natural light. It was maybe a third of the size of my old house, but it felt perfect. It felt like a fresh start. The first few days were strange. I woke up and did not recognize where I was. The sounds were different. The light was different. Everything was different. But slowly, I adjusted. I met my neighbors. There was Helen, a 70-year-old widow who had a sharp sense of humor. There was Marcus, a 68-year-old retired teacher whose wife had passed away 2 years ago. There was Dorothy, an 81-year-old former nurse who still volunteered at the local hospital. We started having breakfast together in the dining hall. We took walks in the garden. We played cards in the activity room. I joined a painting class. I had always loved art, but had never had time for it when I was working and raising children. Now I painted for 2 hours every Tuesday and Thursday. I was not very good, but it did not matter. It made me happy. One morning, about a month after I moved in, I was sitting in the garden with my sketchbook. The sun was warm. Birds were singing. I was drawing a cluster of roses near the fountain. Helen sat down on the bench beside me. "You look different, Ruth." "Different how?" "Happier. Lighter. When you first moved in, you looked like you were carrying the weight of the world. Now you look free." "I am free," I said. "For the first time in a long time, I feel like I am living my own life. Your son still has not contacted you." "No, and that is okay. I made peace with it." Helen nodded. "It is hard to let go of our children, even when they hurt us. But sometimes it is necessary. I thought about Brandon often during those early weeks. I wondered if he thought about me. I wondered if he regretted what he had done. But mostly I felt relief. Relief that I did not have to walk on eggshells anymore. Relief that I did not have to cook for people who did not appreciate me. Relief that my money was safe. Grace called me every Sunday. She visited once a month. Our relationship grew stronger than it had ever been. We talked about real things now, not just surface conversation. We talked about our feelings, our fears, our hopes. "I am sorry I was not there for you more when Dad died," Grace said during one visit. "I should have come home more often. I should have seen what Brandon was doing. You had your own life. I do not blame you. Still, I wish I had protected you. You are protecting me now, by supporting my decisions, by loving me. That is all I need." 6 months have passed since I moved to Meadowbrook. I am sitting in my small apartment writing this story. The sun is setting outside my window, painting the sky orange and pink. I can hear laughter from the courtyard below where some residents are playing bocce ball. The first few weeks after I left my old life were painful. I questioned myself constantly. Did I do the right thing? Was I too harsh? Should I have given Brandon another chance? But as time passed, those doubts faded. I realized that I had not been harsh. I had been fair. I had been protecting myself. And that was not selfish. That was survival. I learned something important through all of this. Love does not mean letting people hurt you. Love does not mean sacrificing yourself for people who do not respect you. Real love has boundaries. Real love requires mutual care and respect. I do not hate Brandon. I really do not. I feel sad for him. He let greed destroy his relationship with his mother. He chose money over family. That was his decision. I gave him many chances to change. I asked him to stop. I told him how his behavior hurt me. He did not listen. He did not care, so I walked away. And I am not sorry. I am not angry anymore either. Anger takes too much energy. Instead, I feel grateful. Grateful that I had the strength to stand up for myself. Grateful that I had resources to protect. Grateful that I have Grace in my life. Grateful for my new friends here at Meadowbrook. My days now are simple but fulfilling. I wake up when I want. I eat breakfast with friends. I paint. I read. I walk in the garden. I watch old movies in the community theater room. I laugh more than I have in years. Grace visited last weekend. We sat in my apartment drinking tea. She told me about her job, her husband, her plans to visit Europe next summer. Then she looked at me and said, "Mom, you inspire me. You really do. You showed me that it is never too late to choose yourself." Her words made me cry. Happy tears. I want anyone reading this or hearing this story to know something. If you are being used by family, if you are being manipulated, if you are being taken advantage of, you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to say no. You have the right to walk away, even from your own children, even from people you love. Setting boundaries is not cruel. It is necessary. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It is survival. And you owe it to yourself to live a life of dignity and peace. I am 62 years old. I thought my best years were behind me. I thought after Gerald died, I would just exist until I died too. But I was wrong. These past 6 months have been some of the best months of my life. I am discovering who I am outside of being a wife and a mother. I am learning what makes me happy. I am building a life that is mine. Is it sad that my son is not part of it? Yes, there is a hole in my heart where he used to be. But that hole is smaller now than the hole that was there when he was using me. At least now the hole is clean. It is honest. It is not filled with lies and manipulation. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones we love the most, but we owe ourselves peace, even if that means walking away from them, even if that means starting over, even if that means being alone, because being alone is better than being used, and peace is worth more than any relationship built on lies. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who tried to take advantage of you? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself? Please share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real-life stories about finding strength in difficult situations. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear this message. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we deserve respect and dignity no matter who is trying to take it from us. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it brought you some comfort, some courage, or at least some food for thought. Remember, it is never too late to take back your life. It is never too late to choose yourself. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, you are stronger than you think.